All right, guys, I just wanted to do a video commentary on my pictures and video that I take when I go on a walk, when I go driving. And the coming and going happens no matter what time of the day I come and go. It's community-based policing, gang stalking, cause stalking, whatever you want to call it, narcissistic abuse. But it's teams of people, and there's a lot of tactics that are used, like directed speech is one of the main tactics that they use with me. So whatever I say in private, in the supposed privacy of my own home, becomes this public thing where, you're presented with what you say in private publicly, and, you don't know how they do it. And many people speculate about how they do it, but you could be talking about your favorite football team or something like that, just using this as an example. And then, you go on a walk, and 10 out of the 10 people that cross your path will mention something about your football team that you were just talking about. So this is an example of directed speech, but they use mobbing. And for me, it's red and white cars. I mean, you'd think that there's only red and white cars in existence, basically. So I wanted to talk a little bit about it, make some commentary on this video, and hopefully everything will work out. I've tried to do the video many times, but the audio stops working, and I can't get the key videos that I've been trying to get the sound from. They're always interfering with my technology, getting in the way, wasting my time, blocking me, stopping me. And they do that in many different ways, but that's not what this video is about. I'm mainly going to do this video to talk about the tactics of directed speech and how they use directed speech with me. And also, I want to talk a little bit about the gesturing, the holding their phones up after they, trigger you with a red and white car or try to get a reaction from you. Then they want to film it, the gesturing. I get a lot of people, let's say 10 out of 10 people on a walk, every person flicks me off. That's been going on for years now, where, you'd think that everybody hates you, and it's all to isolate the target. It's to keep you in a position where you feel the hostility 24/7, even in your house. So, and I'll show how that noise campaign affects me just by commenting on this video. But I wanted to show the directed speech, and I'll break down the video as we go through this, and talk a little bit about the pictures and give a background about some of these things. But so welcome, guys. Welcome to Pulse Point Media, and we're going to break this down. So the first picture, I get this a lot, where there's these grimacing looks and dead stares, where you would think these people have no soul, no life inside them, and they look like they want to kill you. You know what I mean? So I circled this guy's face because it's just a common thing where they just do this dead stare at me, like somebody wants to fight you. And it's provoking, like you wouldn't believe, when you've got 10 out of 10 people giving you this look on a walk, and they just stare at you. They don't take their eyes off you. You wave at them, they don't wave back, and they just continue to stare at you like, you're the religious extremist terrorist or something like that in the neighborhood, because that's what the slander campaigns do. And everywhere I've moved for the last 25 years, I move in, then the sheriff's office moves in, and they park their cars in community-based policing, auxiliary policing, and I become the object that is policed. And it's been 25 years every day. I move in, then the cops move in, the police move in, and law enforcement is used, not with all of us, but, with me, it's been 25 years of the last 5 places I moved. I move in, then the police move in and park their car in my line of sight. So every time I leave my house, they can see me, at least physically, and orchestrate and coordinate and manage the slander campaigns that bring this kind of look. So this is just a picture on a walk of a man just staring at me like he wants to kill me. And you'll see as I go through the videos and the pictures. So here again, this lady's driving by her bike. You can see her face, and I'm going to annotate this really quick. But you can just see her face right here, and you see the look of disgust, and it's all made to make you feel, intimidated, scared, because they're telling everybody in the neighborhood, you're a terrorist, you're a dangerous person, you're a criminal, you're, even though there's no, background of that, and of course they make up fake dossiers and present them at the HOA board and pretend like, you're the target number one on the terror watch list or something. But that's what they like to do. They like to slander you in a smear campaign in the neighborhood everywhere you move. And then you get looks like this where people are frowning at you all the time to provoke a reaction. Sometimes you just want to put your hands up in the air and go, what is it? Why are you staring at me like that? But you can see the lady's face as she rolls by. And believe me, they use children, elderly people. They use anybody they can, anybody that will participate in this. So again, another death look, empty person. And this is also a picture on a walk. And I'm really far away. I'm taking a screenshot of a picture I took, and I've got my camera hidden. So there's no reason for these people to be staring at me like this. But again, you can see the grimace, you can see the look of disgust. And this is street theater where these people aren't naturally just sitting on this bench, but they are managed by a handler and literally in the community-based policing programs. And, these people participate and they get perks and benefits and their life gets easier while they make our lives harder and make our lives impossible with the mobbing, the stalking, the harassment, and the provoking. And it's all about getting a bad reaction. That's what these people live for, is the bad reaction. And the whole goal of this isn't to keep things safe, because we are being tortured every day, and mobbed and harassed. And, there's a lot of directed speech. And an example of that would be like, if you look at this girl's tattoo, I'm just hypothetically saying in this picture, because it's not directed speech, but that tattoo will say something that you talked about in private as an example. And it'll be sometimes, within 10 minutes of talking about it privately in your own home, in the privacy of your own home. But, this isn't an example of it, but that would be an example of directed speech if that tattoo was saying something about what you said in private. And it happens again and again and again in a very repetitive fashion. So you can see the grimacing look. I get these looks a lot every time I go on a walk. And of course, here's another woman, and I put an arrow there just to show the facial expression of disgust. And they play out this script and act as if, they're being victimized by you by just walking and enjoying the day and trying to be healthy. And they will surround you this way. And usually they're checking to see as they're working with other people. And you can't see this in this picture, but a golf cart goes by of two ladies and they're zipping by me all over the place. And then on the last leg of my walk, their golf cart was parked in a parking lot right by the sidewalk. And, they're coming up to me asking me, can you push our golf cart? And I said, well, how far? And, because the golf cart supposedly broke down, but it's all staged and scripted. But they wanted me to, push their golf cart like 10 miles. And I'm like, you can just have it towed. But they want to get you involved and wrapped up and waste your time, energy, money, and everything else. But this is another picture of someone just staring at me, looking back and not taking their eyes off me. Again, the red and white color sensitization that you can see in this picture. We have a white truck and a red shirt. So again, they're color anchoring you and only doing abuse, with those colors on, whether it's a red shirt, a red hat, red shoes. It doesn't really matter what it is and their attire, but they usually, and always for me, wear red to, get my attention on them. And, when you've got, 10 out of 10 people wearing something red and acting abusive towards you, it anchors you so that you're, paying attention. Now, you got to be very careful of hypervigilance, and that's not what this is. This is repeated with, just the frequency and rate by which it happens. They don't have to even do abuse to you, but it's the surveillance, it's the watching you, it's the following you, it's the scripted street theater around you when you go on a walk. So I'm just walking by on the sidewalk, and this guy, is giving me that death look, looking at me like, as you can see in all these pictures, they like to give this grimacing look because they want you to hurt yourself and hurt others. They think that they can intimidate this way by just dead staring at you, like mean mugging you, trying to start an altercation. It's what they do all the time to me. Um, this is an example of directed speech. I came home one day, pulled in my parking spot, and there was this white car, of course, parked right in front of my place. And you can really see, this sticker and this bumper sticker on the car. And of course, the night before, I was talking about to a friend how the police departments are used for some of us to manage the coordinated, organized stalking and targeting. And this is an example of psychological warfare, because I'm talking about how I don't support police that do this. And then the next day, because it's just criminal. It's criminal. And why any police department would say we're here to keep you safe and save lives by abusing the target over and over and running psychological warfare tactics on a target. But the next day, in my line of sight, when I pull into my parking spot, I see this big sticker on this car. I support the police. And it's always about the directed speech. For me, they always counter what I'm saying in a very provoking way, in a mocking way, to let you know we're watching you. You can't get away. Even in your own home, we're hearing what you say. And so this is a counter. Now, if I tell somebody, hey, there's just this sticker that says I support the police, if that happens once, fine. If it happens, 10 times in a row, fine. Right. But it gets to the point where it happens every day, nonstop, 24/7, where they are countering me in the privacy of my own home and then letting me know it, by the directed speech. So to counter me saying I don't support the police that do this, the next day, this car was parked in front of my home with this big sticker on it in my line of sight, in my path of walking to get in my home, so that I would have to see it. So that's a great example for me of directed speech. Again, let's see here. All right, guys. So like I was just saying, this is a example of on the same walk where all these people are looking at me and staring at me and watching me. And, then after they get a reaction, they hold up their phones, they gesture, they flick you off, they do all kinds of things like that. But this is another example of just somebody walking by, and she's pretty far away. So I snapped a screenshot of the picture, and it really doesn't do it justice because, it's very granulated and everything, but you can see her face with the arrow and how she's turned to me and watching me. And, it's one thing if people look at you, I'm fine with that. But these people, that's not what they do. It's a tactic of abuse and control. As they stare at you, and as they don't take their eyes off you and then start gesturing and doing things to try to get a reaction. But this is all part of the surveillance, community-based policing program. But she just kept her eyes on me, kept staring at me. And then after that, I trailed over across the street. And of course, a red car pulls up to the stoplight right as this red car right here, right as I cross the street. And, just sits there for a really long time looking for direction. And you can see how both these people are turning towards the red car. They're pretending to have a conversation, but really it's all scripted. It's not a genuine conversation. It's orchestrated, it's coordinated. And so this red car goes by after I get on the sidewalk, very, very slow, of course, and mean mugging me out of the car. But you can see both of them, turning around and looking at the red car. And she's standing really close to the person with the hat on. And I circled the red car, but she's, definitely communicating about me. And this is what they do, guys. It's very subtle. It's non-touch torture tactics. And non-touch torture meaning they don't have to necessarily abuse you per se, but it's all about making you feel uncomfortable. And in this picture, right after that car went by, she holds up her phone. You can clearly see her phone right there. And she's smirking. You can see her cheek and how her cheeks are pressed up because she's smiling really big at me, holding her phone up at me. I haven't done anything. I'm just, on the sidewalk, snapping pictures automatically with my hidden camera. They don't see that I have a camera. And so this is what they do, the tactics of provocation. And some people might think, well, she's just looking at her phone. Well, when you see it over and over and over again, and you realize how often this happens, Well, it's just this pattern of behavior where the gesturing, the provoking, the holding up their phones to film you after that red car went by, they all know that it's a trigger because I've been anchored with red and white. And you can see her just holding her phone up, having a great old time, torturing, psychologically abusing, and doing this. So she's just standing there filming me and thinking it's cute and funny, which is part of their tactics. Now, this girl on the same walk, I saw her over on the other side of this parking lot right here, and she passed by me and, didn't have any facial expression. But there was a golf cart that went behind her that was white, of course. And she had some communication with that golf cart on this main side street out here. And as she walks by me, she gives me that big grin and thinks it's cute and funny. It's all about provoking, and they laugh at you. They make comments to you while you're passing, usually directed speech, where they are letting you know that you're being watched by that directed speech. So no matter what you talk about in private or what you say to counter this in frustration, you might be in your home praying to the Lord and telling the Lord how, you're being worn out by these people. But, and then, these people will walk by you and in passing mention how worn out they are, and they start laughing and chuckling. That's an example of directed speech. But you can see her smiling, smirking really big before we cross paths. And immediately after she does that, you're an idiot, stupid grimace that they all do at me. It's all made for you to internalize. They want you to think you're bad, you're horrible, and prevent you from going on a walk or having any free movement, so that you sit in your house and people think, well, that's the safest place. I just am not going to go outside anymore. But what happens by these tactics is they start to hit you with directed energy weapons, as they did to me, frying and electrocuting my upper respiratory tract. I was in a recliner for 6 months because I was bleeding internally so bad from the EMF frequency and the microwave pulse energy that they use, whether it's to burn the palms of your hands when you're sleeping for sleep deprivation, or the soles of your feet. They do that a lot with me, and they hit the sensitive areas of my body, whether it's your nipples, your family jewels, it doesn't matter. But they're going to go after that until you start peeing blood like I was. But they torture you and torture you and torture you once they get you into your home with directed energy weapons. But you can see the grimace on her face. It's that look of like, we're special, we're heroes, we're saviors. And they think they're doing a good service. Okay. They think that, they're keeping things safe because that's what they're told. They're told you're a criminal, you're dangerous, you're violent. And so, you do you beat up children. All these things are part of the slander campaign that they run in every neighborhood I've been for the last 25 years. And I know that because people come up to me and say to me, certain things about, being careful. There are some people that, take your side privately and will say, just be careful because people are, out to get you, basically. And that can also be part of the psychological warfare, to make you paranoid all the time, to make you worry all the time. But you notice the white car in the background. And I'm just sitting in my living room, and I have a special tint on my window so you can't see into my place. And I've gone down there, and tried to take pictures and film from the parking lot here. And you literally can't see into my place. So they're told to do this. They're told to walk by my home and, surround my home and take up my parking spot, and with red and white cars. And then this begins where they'll have people walking by all day long, like on a clock, like getting paid to provoke and to do this, to quote unquote keep people safe. But this looks like a common and ordinary thing. People flick you off, people give you dirty looks, but it's when it happens again and again and again in a repeated, obsessive fashion, where it's by the frequency and rate by which they do this that eventually breaks your will and breaks you down. But here, this old lady is just walking by, and I'm not outside. She can't see that I have a camera or see me in the window, but yet she's flicking me off. So they know what you're doing and where you're at all times. So, and, this lady, here's another day of me just driving by in my car. This is a zoomed in photograph. So I'm not even close to her, but yet there she is again, flicking me off, trying to provoke a reaction. I mean, the immaturity and the infantile nature of these covert and malignant narcissists who organize together, and they're experts at triangulation. So they work together in a hive mind and really enjoy and get off at the provoking, at making you feel uncomfortable, at trying to reduce and restrict your movement so you're easier to control and easier to manage. So when I, drove by in this picture, as soon as I drive by, she's flicking me off. So again, and it's all the time, but again, a red car behind her. We saw in the other picture of her, the white car behind her. So, and here again is that look that they give me of death and soulless, empty, nobody's home for you, obviously, lady. But you know what I mean? Nobody's home for you, meaning there is no identity there. These are NPCs. They have no personality of their own. And they're always mimicking and mirroring, whether it's your words, your cadence, your gestures, your topics. There's a lot of mirroring and mimicking of the target, whether it's narcissistic abuse on a personal level or it's community-based policing. And it's like they took the model and followed a covert, malignant, sadistic, narcissistic model. The tactics that they use are the tactics basically that they do in this community-based policing program. But just look at her face. Look at how evil and dark her face is. And just staring at me like they want to hurt me, like they want to kill me. And again, this is another picture. And before I get into this picture, that lady that I just showed, they'll mirror your coming and going, and you go to the grocery store, they go to the grocery store. They wait for you to get out of your car. And then when you go in, they follow you around the store and do gestures and raise their hands and pretend like you did something to them. And it's all about embarrassing you in the community and keeping you from speaking out, keeping you from your autonomy, your independence, your stability. And that's what this is all about. But, I came out of the grocery store and that lady comes out of the grocery store, and lo and behold, she's parked in front of my car so that I can see her get into the car. And it was literally at the same time as me getting in my car. So they mimic you. It's very demonic. Many people don't know how this happens. I mean, we're under surveillance as a whole nation, but, a lot of this is spiritual. But you can see this guy. I'm just sitting in my car, minding my own business. And of course, we got the red hat and, again, color sensitization. And he's just walking by, not taking his eyes off me and just giving me that dead look. You can wave, you can say hello, but they will not respond to you. And he's just mean mugging me as I'm sitting in my car, making me feel uncomfortable. That's the whole game and the whole point of this kind of tactic. And really, it's subtle. It's meant for when you start to complain about issues that you look like you're crazy and mentally ill and schizophrenic. The problem is that schizophrenia doesn't happen in your 40s. Okay. I'm in my 40s. So you know what I mean? If it does happen, it happens to you when you're young, which is statistics. I mean, you can take a look at that and do a little research and realize that this isn't schizophrenia like people want to say. It is coordinated, color sensitizing, and directed speech. So you can see the red car pulling in. Now, this is a parking lot. I pulled in. And as soon as I pull in, this red car pulls in at the same time as me. And of course, the handler, let me highlight this, but he's standing right here, if you can see. And he's got his arm bent up, okay? And he's got his arm bent up at the elbow, and he is flicking me off. And it is what they do to me all the time. Strangers, I don't know this guy. I just pull into the parking lot. This red car pulls in at the same time as me. And we get this guy staring at me again, just like you've seen in the other pictures, and wanting to act like they're there to beat me up. They're there to hurt me. They're there to, to make sure that my life is impossible to live. But he's flicking me off right there. And then he goes up to the red car and starts talking to somebody in this red car. And the red car, never pulled into the parking spot fully. They just sat there. And while he's staring at me, and in this case, this man was covering his face because, I'm really far away. These are zoomed in screenshots, but, to do it justice, like I'm really far away. I'm fully and 100% zoomed in on my phone. And then I took these screenshots of the video, but you can clearly see him staring at me, looking at me, won't take his eyes off me. And, and we do nothing to provoke this. There is nothing we do. We just are pulling into a parking lot, wanting to go into the store and go shopping. So here are more pictures of him. And it was for quite some time that, he just stood there staring at me and then flicking me off. So as you saw in that one pic, I know it's kind of granulated, but just so you can see his hand is right there. He's holding his finger up, flicking me off. And so I wanted to just get that, but it's, this picture doesn't do it justice because I had to zoom in and take a screenshot. But again, total stranger, have no idea who this guy is. And he's coordinating, managing like a handler, the red car that pulled in. And of course, he's probably telling him, when he leaves, leave with him, follow him, drive your car at him. That's what they love to do when it's vehicular coordinated stalking and harassment, when they surround you in red and white cars on the freeway and try to drive you off the road and keep your speed by getting in front of you and behind you really close. So you're, having to being brake checked all the time. And they surround me in a circle when I'm driving and begin to endanger me when I'm driving. But you can see his hand is raised up right here and he's flicking me off, just staring at me for no reason. As soon as I pull in, this guy's standing there waiting for me, flicking me off. So it's amazing how they coordinate this. And a lot of the time they're there before you even get there. That's the whole point. It's all surveillance, but it's overt in nature. They want you to know you're being watched, you're being stalked. When you got millions of strangers doing this to you, you start to realize something is wrong here. Again, another parking lot that I pulled into, there's a red car behind this man. He gets out of this red car as soon as I pull in, and there's a white car here, and I'm surrounded in the parking lot. I'll pull in and there's no cars there, but then all of a sudden red and white cars will pull in and encircle me in the parking spots of these places, these stores that I go to. But he pulls in this red car behind him, gets out of the driver's seat, and then just stands there and gives me that look, that death look, and that stare that they love to do to me. And again, the same parking lot, we see the red shorts, and, and it's not every single time that they're wearing red, but it's 98% of the time, I would say. So, and this is all to get your attention on them, because as soon as you see that red, you're paying more attention. It's all anchoring psychological warfare and abuse. But, these people got out of their car. There was a lot of street theater before this. And, there are different cars and different people communicating like in a huddle, basically. And then these people walk by and you can see them just staring at me. She's staring at me. Her hair is kind of in front of her face, but they're just giving me that death stare while I'm sitting in my car, minding my own business and pretty far away. It's pretty far away. And I zoomed in on this. But again, another example of the street theater. And here is another time I went to the store, and it happens over and over and over. They get it, they pull in. When you pull in, then they sit in their car and wait for you to get out. And if you get out and you go into the store, they follow you into the store and harass you in the store, pretending to be a victim of you to try to wrap you up, get you in trouble. And, they'll bump into you, push you, and spit on my car. They do all kinds of ugly abuse to me on a daily basis. But here you can see, and thank God I know Jesus, but here you can see this red car. She gets out of the car and is giving me that mean mug. You can see her frown. Like, it's just obvious. They're told to make the most grimacing, disgusted face you possibly can make at this guy. All psychological warfare. Because you go around and when everybody's doing this to you, you start to feel like, man, all my friends, my family, everybody's participating in this. I have no one but the Lord Jesus himself. And, it starts to wear on you psychologically when people are frowning at you all the time. You could clearly see her mouth is frowning. So, and just looking at you like, you're an abuser of children or something like that. And again, more pictures of her just standing there for quite some time. I would say 10 minutes of her just standing there and staring at me, looking at me. Again, the frown, the red car, and just horrible, you know, horrible to do this to somebody all the time. Again, another picture of her just standing there and staring at me. So, we got that. It's the same no matter what state I've been in what state I've moved to. It follows me. It comes with me wherever I go. Again, this is another picture of me in my parking lot. And as soon as I pull in, like I said, the parking lot's empty. All of a sudden, red and white cars. You can see the white car here, another white car here. This guy pulls in, gets out of the car, and starts saluting me. And this is another example of directed speech for me. Now, to the common and ordinary observer, they wouldn't know that this is abuse done covertly in plain sight so that they can keep abusing you. That's why they sensitize the target to colors. That's why, they do the directed speech. And for me, this is directed speech because the night before I was talking about how the threat fusion centers have the National Guard and all the branches of the government in your local community working together to run this kind of policing. It's seen in communist countries. It's like the brown shirts. They're all organized and a well-oiled machine. And like a military, paramilitary force, a proxy army that has been trained and well-funded and goes after innocent citizens or anybody that speaks the truth. And I guess the degree that I was speaking the truth, they wanted to shut me up and silence me. But the night before, I'm talking about how the military is involved and was involved a lot in my targeting, especially the vehicular harassment. You get guys with buzz cuts and, wearing some sort of military fatigues or whatever. But, that also can be misdirecting as they want you to think it's bigger than it is and brainwash you that way. But so this guy's saluting me because of what I said the night before about the military being involved. So the next day I go to my parking lot in the morning and all of a sudden these red and white cars start swarming me in my parking lot. And he gets out of his car, stares at me just like the other people do, but he salutes me. So this is an example of directed speech for me. Totally. Again, it's another picture and their faces look demonic. I know I'm zoomed in because I'm kind of far away. So I took this screenshot again and zoomed in of the video that I have. But for time's sake, I just wanted to do these still images and show a couple short videos of directed speech. But here you got this guy saluting me and staring at me. His face looks demonic. It's like morphing and shape-shifting and changing, basically. In the photo, you can really see here I am at another parking lot. I'm waiting for an appointment to go into this building, and this lady's standing there. She comes out. Soon as I park, she comes out and starts staring at me. And just so I can illustrate this, she's right here. So, and just hiding behind this pillar, staring at me, not taking her eyes off me. And they're told, act like you're calling the police, act like, he's a threat and play the victim role and dance with this guy. So that's what they do with me. And everywhere I go, I can't ever be alone. These people just show up and start doing this to me. And she's got her phone up, just staring at me. And, it's probable deniability. All these images and things that I'm showing could be denied on other things. And that's why they walk a tightrope, fine line. They do get physical with me, but, I pray, I go to the Lord, I don't respond or react. And when I don't react, they escalate the abuse and the forced contact. But here in this case, she is just standing there staring at me. So I felt uncomfortable because it was so long. You're like, okay, what does this lady want? And what is she doing? It's just odd behavior. But so I got in my car and readjusted my parking spot on the other side of the building. And as soon as I get to the other side of the building, I parked, and just like always. And then this man came out in military gear. You can clearly see he's wearing military gear. He's got a military hat on and military fatigues on. They like to do this to me and lead me to believe that, the military is targeting me and they want you to think that all the police departments are targeting you and all these things, which might not be true, but it's all about the misdirection. And so he's just standing there staring at me. You can see him over here. I'm in my car. As soon as I went from the other lady on the other side of the building who was staring at me, and then, this guy's just standing there looking directly at me, hiding in the bushes like a creep, basically. And, it's just all about intimidation and making you feel like you're being watched all the time. It's psychological warfare and abuse. But here I am on a walk. I sat on a bench. The bench is facing with my back to this man. And I had a hidden camera. So I took a couple shots, hoping that without looking that, that they would capture this guy because he was following me around on foot. If I went on the sidewalk, he'd come over to this sidewalk over here. If I crossed the street, because I'd do this S down the street, going from one side of the street to the next. And, he just kept pace with me, mirroring and mimicking my walk that I go on, because I go on a lot of, I go on a lot of prayer walks, and I pray to the Lord a lot outside. But they follow me and try to interrupt my prayers and try to run forced interactions and intercepts. I call them intercepts because they cross your path and get closer and closer until it escalates in physical abuse, where you're having to defend yourself. And then as soon as you do, you're harassing them. You're a violent, dangerous terrorist. Okay, so that's what they do in their entrapment, in their baiting. Okay. But this guy, he's just staring at me, doing the same old thing with that grimacing look. And, it's just nonstop that they do this to me, just watching me, observing me. Okay. Now here's a video of me on a walk. And I wanted to show an example of directed speech through this next couple of videos that are short. And I'm just going on a walk, minding my own business. And, next thing you know, there's a man that's going to be coming over in this corner over here, and he's walking along the street this way, so toward me. And of course, every time I'd walk by these people, they do the directed speech. So for me, I had an electric skateboard, just for a little background on this, and they destroyed the electronics in the electric skateboard and ruined the motor by using EMF frequency-based technology that they also hit your body with, but it disrupts electrical signals and circuitry, and they are able to fry, whether it's your computer, it doesn't matter, the electronics on your car, they're always one crisis after the next after the next. By the time you get solving the one crisis, the next one's already beginning. So you are never allowed to support yourself, take care of yourself, and use your time, energy, and money for your own development. It's always rerouted to having to survive the abuse and damage that these people have been doing to me. But let's listen to this video really quick. And so I'm just walking, and for like 10 out of 10 people, they want to say in a mocking way, using directed speech, "Where's your skateboard?" They say it to try to provoke a reaction over and over. So when you have 10 people on your walk saying the exact same phrase, the exact same way, and then smirking about it. And also, I want you to notice the dog in this video. Usually with me, they, will walk close to me with their dog and then let the leash extend and let the dog go crazy on me. They love that hostility. They think it's cute and funny to, ambush and surprise you with, hey, aren't you going to hold your dog closer to you? But so let's see what this is all about. Hey, how you doing, man?
Who you are without your skateboard.
What's that?
We don't know who you are without your skateboard.
Oh, you don't know who I am without my skateboard? Oh, yeah. Well, I'm John, man. Nice to meet you. Yeah. Oh, sorry, man. Hey.
My name's Merle.
Merle? Where are you from, Merle?
Louisville. Just south of Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh, okay.
Kentucky.
You just visiting for the the holidays, or do you have a place down here? Or?
We got a place.
Oh, nice,
Yeah.
nice.
We're seasonal.
Seasonal, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kentucky's nice. I like it up there.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful. Yeah, my name's John, man, by the way. Yeah, I see you.
You're always on a skateboard.
Yeah, I'm always on a skateboard, yeah. Yeah, it's a habit of mine. I have to, it's like the only way I can exercise, so it's what I do. So, yeah, man.
Yeah, I just had back surgery about 7 weeks ago. That's my therapy, is walking.
Oh, yeah. All right, guys. So, like in this case, again, he asked me where my skateboard is. And like I said, that's normal, that's common, right? To the casual observer, the person that's not being targeted, whether it's family and friends. If you send a video and say, hey, I'm being harassed, and they see just this one interaction, well, then they start to question your sanity. But the fact is that it is directed speech for me, because 10 out of 10 people on a walk say, where's your skateboard? And they think it's cute, they think it's funny, but it's all meant to, grind you down, in other words, because I was complaining about my skateboard in my home, how I couldn't use it anymore, how I need to fix it now, and how expensive it is and everything else. So they know that that's a soft spot for me, and they are going to remind me of it again and again and again. And then notice how the dog was just, growling, barking at me. And, that's common and ordinary, right? But, if it happens 10 out of 10 times where the dog is lunging at you and the owner isn't doing anything to restrain the dog, it's just incredible. So for me, this is directed speech. Again, he goes into, because, they try to implant ideas in the target to get you to internalize, fear and terror and make you worry all the time. So he goes right into talking about his back surgery. But the thing is like, I understand if you're an older gentleman and you have to have surgery and you're a baby boomer, things of that nature, and that's, common. But when it's, all the time, and you'll see this in the next clips, but it's all the time that they, hope you don't break your arm, hope you don't fall off or get hit by a car on that skateboard. That's an example of getting you to internalize, and be afraid to do the things you love. But that's what they want.
I gotta do a lot of walking.
Ooh, that back surgery is tough, man. Yeah, that's tough. But
They put one spacer in, and I got 4 screws and plates.
so you must be trying to move a lot, trying to keep it loose and stuff. Yeah, that's tough, man. I'm sorry to hear that.
The therapy's working good. Right?
All right, good, man. Good deal. Good deal. Have a good. So he said, where's your skateboard? And, starts going into bodily injury talk. And it's all, meant for the target to internalize the negativity. And so you start thinking, maybe I shouldn't go on my skateboard. I could break my arm, and if you're not careful to catch your thoughts, that's what usually starts happening. I want you to notice that these are forced interactions. Like I heard him say that comment to me, where's your skateboard? And I wanted to just get it on video and get it on tape. He didn't know I was filming, so I wanted him to repeat it so it was loud enough. But again, where's your skateboard? Directed speech for me. And to the casual observer, it's just nothing. He's just asking me about my skateboard. But this is, the type of endurance race, basically that we're under as they wear us out by the directed speech. So,
yep, have a good one, bro. You see how
again, and up here, guys, I want you to notice that as soon as I break off contact with this guy, this red car was just waiting up here in the background here at this stop sign. And as soon as I broke off contact from that forced interaction, as soon as I broke off the contact with that forced interaction, then all of a sudden the color sensitizing kicks back in. And here we are in a red car.
And here's a red car passing. They always try to occupy your time, your attention, and he let his dog just go.
Okay, guys, here's another example on the same walk. And all this is the same walk that I'm taking. And you can see a woman, and she has her dog right there. And I'm coming around this corner. And so as I walk, I said hi to somebody because there was somebody over here. And I'm very nice. I'm super overly nice so that these accusers can't accuse me of anything, because they have to make it up in order to act against me. And I don't give them any attention, any fuel, or any delight, because they're pleased with themselves in doing this to us. Okay. And so here I am on the same walk.
Hi. Hey, how are you?
Hey, how are you?
Good. Hi, how are you?
I'm great. Hey, hey, hey. He's not even on the skateboard.
It's the Holy Spirit.
That's what it
Okay, so you can see again another interaction where the dog owner just lets the dog do that. And that might be common and ordinary, but when it happens 10 out of 10 times and the only people you pass are people with dogs, then it starts to become questionable. And then, it's definitely used to create hostility. They want you to feel uncomfortable for living in the neighborhood. They want you to know we don't like you. And there's many subtle ways of doing that in this kind of tactic of creating a surprise and ambush, that startle feeling that they want you to have, especially with the noise campaigns in your home. You got people upstairs kicking on the floor and just stomping on the floor at night. As soon as you go to lay down for bed, then all of a sudden this noise starts and it's for hours and hours and nothing can be done about it. You go to try to tell, property management or whoever you can tell, and nothing is done about it because they have the above the law status and they are authorized to abuse innocent people. And it is a double standard of abuse. And if you ever react to it, well, then you're the abuser, you're the terrorist, you're the horrible, dangerous, violent man, because the smear campaign is out there, the slandering. And as I walked by that lady, she let the dog, lunge at me and bark at me. And you can't really hear it, but I'm going to go back just a little bit so you can hear it. Let's see here. She said, he's not even on his skateboard talking to her dog to calm her dog down. Yeah, like the dog is scared of my skateboard. I mean, every time I skateboard, and I've rolled past that lady before, and her dog's totally calm and normal with me. You know what I mean? But they like to blame you. They like to transfer the guilt and the shame onto you and make you feel like you're a nuisance and causing trouble in the neighborhood. But that's not what's happened at all. So, but she tells her dog he's not even on his skateboard, in this mocking way, bringing up my skateboard, knowing my skateboard is down, knowing that I have to fix it, knowing what a pain it is, and then rubbing it in. That's what this is all about.
He's not even on the skateboard.
It's the Holy Spirit.
And really, it is the Holy Spirit. I mean, even the dog might be demon possessed. You never know. But especially with the owner that is like this, that complains and is a Karen and goes around spreading rumors and gossip that you're going to kill somebody on your skateboard, which is so far from the truth. But most of these older people that have been used to stalk me recently, they're baby boomers and they are Karens and they complain about everything. And especially when you're having fun, because it's all about that power and that control. When they're miserable, they think you need to be miserable. So let's keep going. Yeah, I love how I said it's the Holy Spirit. That's funny. Okay, here I just crossed the street after that interaction. So that's the second person asking me about my skateboard. And I really don't even do it that much. Okay. But this is all part of the directed speech, letting me know, rubbing it in that they destroyed my skateboard. And then so now every single person I cross is going to say, hey, where's your skateboard? Ha ha. And then go right into talking about getting hit by cars and breaking their legs, breaking your ankles, getting in accidents on the skateboard. And this is all mind control to keep the person from doing things by you internalizing that kind of speech and tactic. But again, subtle, very well crafted and trained, organized, community-based policing. And here we go again.
Good, man. How are you? It is hot in the hot tub today, man. So to speak,
Where's the skateboard?
Where's my skateboard?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Did you give up on it?
No, I take breaks once in a while.
Again, so he's wearing red shorts, basically, and they wear, whether it's a tone of red, but it's always red. They always got almost burgundy, but usually bright red shorts on to get my attention, or shoes or socks or hat. One item is going to be bright red. But this man, the first thing he says to me, I don't even know who this guy is, but he's telling me, where's your skateboard? And then notice his body language and how he positions himself with his hands on his hips like a Karen. But so he's asking me, where's your skateboard? And I've never even talked to this man. I don't even know who he is, but they want to know where my skateboard is. But the fact is they already know where it is and are rubbing it in and trying to make me feel bad so that I don't do it and stop my activity.
And put new wheels on and stuff like that.
I
So-
skateboarder in 1964.
No way.
Had my picture in the paper.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. So trick skateboarding, or what kind of skateboarding did you do? Is it just
Back
regular?
in those days, it was a board about that long.
Yeah.
Out of oak.
Okay.
With some real nasty wheels. on
Yeah,
the
I
bottom.
remember, like metal, wasn't it? Like
Yeah.
metal wheels even.
Always hitting a rock on the road.
Yeah.
Flying off.
Okay, there's more directed speech. He just said I was always hitting a rock on the road and flying off. And just that last week, I was skating and I hit a rock and flew off my skateboard and rolled on the concrete. But that is an example of directed speech where the couple days before I hit a rock and flew off my skateboard. So he's going to bring it up as if it's his own experience, but it's really not. It's scripted interactions and they're told to say these things. And it's mimicking and mirroring and trying to get you to internalize the negativity. But he's talking about how he flew off the skateboard and by hitting a rock. And that just had happened to me just a couple days prior. So examples of directed speech are endless.
Yeah.
People were breaking their arms and legs and all kinds of stuff.
Okay, so if you can't hear it, he said people were breaking their arms, their legs, and all kinds of stuff. So he goes right into talking about the danger of skateboarding, and I wonder if this guy doesn't like me skateboarding. You know what I mean? He says he's a skateboarder to have a conversation with me, but I highly doubt that he ever skateboarded. And on top of it, he goes right into the negativity to get me to internalize and remind me of when I fell off my skateboard, and try to anchor me to those negative memories and those painful memories to associate that with the skateboarding so you stop doing it.
Concussions.
Yeah.
So he said concussions and stuff.
It's fun. We had a great time.
Yeah, right. Hey,
Those
now
are
the
the
wheels are
days.
just smooth, They're so nice nowadays.
I've heard that
Yeah,
they're
very nice.
much better.
Well, at least you're a skateboarder, man. I mean, I skateboard on all kinds of different, trick skateboarding. I got a cruiser board. That's what I use around here, but it's very nice. Very fun.
It was great exercise too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
More directed speech because, I talk in my place privately on the phone about how it's the only exercise I do. And you heard in the video prior, the first man that I passed with the dog, was talking about, I mentioned to him, how it's my only exercise that I can do. And I even said that. So now he's telling me it's great exercise. It's all mimicking and replaying back to you the things you say in private, just so that you can realize you're being watched, you're under surveillance. There's nothing that's private. And it's a form of overt psychological abuse.
Never got hit by a car though.
Yeah, you got to be careful, man. You got to
It
be
was
careful.
fun.
So, all that negativity. And then he starts saying to me, I never got hit by a car, though. That was how he left off. And literally more directed speech. It's just endless because, I was saying the day before this interaction that I'm so thankful that I can skateboard in my gated community where there's not a lot of cars, right? And, because so many people get hit by cars out on the highway and the sidewalks even are dangerous when you cross the street where I'm at. And it's just known that people get hit by cars all the time, bikers, skateboarders, it's like nonstop. So by me saying that, he's going to end the conversation with, about getting hit by a car. So it's all mimicking and it's all mirroring and it seems normal to the casual observer and common and ordinary, but it is really not. It's directed speech.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Right on, bro.
See you later.
Yeah, see you later, man.
I guess getting hit by a car is fun, according to this guy. And that's what he was saying. So his conversation didn't even make sense. It was just taking what I say in private and projecting that on me as if it's his own. But it's all psychological to get you to, internalize, like I said, that negativity and get you to stop your behavior. And it's really the torture, the abuse, the harassment is done so that you internalize it. And it's really behavior modification with the level of frequency and rate by which they engage you this way. So here's an example of, and you notice the guy's got a red shirt on. And so with my HOA, they, never inform me or send me a letter like they do to other people or an email informing me that there are going to be people working on my place. And so that never occurs because the element of ambush and surprise is always there. but like, this is part of a noise campaign, and they throw garbage, in your yard and blame it on you and call attention to it like over and over and over, just taking a garbage and dumping it in your yard or in your car spot. And they love to do that with me. And then they go around slandering and gossiping. And the handlers, tell other people to, blame it on me. And so those rumors get spread that, you're messy, you're a nuisance to the neighborhood. You always have garbage in your front lawn. But this is part of a noise campaign when I was working inside. And it's all about interrupting you. It's all about getting in your way and stopping and blocking you from making choices to invest in yourself and to invest in things that help with your development. They eat up all those resources, and then they're going to constantly do these intercepts, I call them, where they're interrupting my day, my flow, my time, coming to the door, ringing my doorbell as soon as I sit down to work on the computer, one after the next, and you're never told. It's just the element of ambush. It's fine to work on my place, but there was nothing wrong with my place, and there was no reason for this guy to really be doing this. And another thing is they fixed this little area up here, as you can see. But like the whole thing is, it shouldn't take like 3 or 4 days of being up on a ladder, looking in my window and hammering and banging and sawing the side of my house. So again, more noise campaign, color sensitization. So he's wearing that red shirt. This is just another picture of him. And now this is on the front side of my house. And, because I went from the bedroom because he was looking in my window, wanting to make me feel uncomfortable, really. I mean, just staring in my window and stuff instead of doing the work, and it's all about making you feel uncomfortable in your own home. But, it's normal for guys to get on ladders and do work. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when it happens again and again and again, and it's ambush, it's surprise, and it's the noise campaign where they're making so much noise that, you don't even know, you're ready to pull your hair out because the bangs and the hammering and all these things start to startle you, and the sighing and everything else. It's all designed to distract you, to keep you from moving forward. But here he is on the front of the house right here. If you can see him, he's on the ladder. And so I went from the bedroom to the kitchen table, and this is a living room window. And I basically am just being followed from window to window. When I go, he went, so it's that mirroring and mimicking. And here he is, parallel to me, just standing on the ladder, doing a whole lot of nothing. I mean, I was looking out the window. There was nothing that he was doing. He's just standing there texting on his phone. So not normal, natural behavior for a contractor, really, to spend so much time texting and looking in the window. But that is part of the psychological abuse and warfare. It's designed to make you feel like you're never safe. You never can have privacy. And they will bring one contractor after the next over. They won't tell you, they won't inform you. And, then it's just the noise campaign, banging. And as soon as I go to do work on a computer, this guy's staring in my window, banging and banging and banging. So, and by the way, when they get done with the work after like 4 or 5 days, and then you look at what was fixed, it should have only taken an hour. That's another thing that I want to mention. Again, another picture of him standing on the ladder. There he is again, right here, and doing a whole lot of nothing, But this is all part of making you feel like you want to move, making you feel when it happens again and again and again, the banging, the noises, the startling, the noise campaign, and then just observing you in your own home and having the probable deniability. Okay. Many people think, well, are contractors involved? Yes. Is the HOA involved? Yes. And I can later in another video show the funding for the local county sheriff's office and how they reach out to the HOA. And plus I have a police officer that lives parking his car, his cop car, right across from me. And, he can see me coming and going, and his job is me and managing this kind of harassment. All right. Now, this is me again in my living room. There's a white car that pulled in here. And usually it's like 4 or 5 white cars. It's a form of mobbing. And I'm just chilling in my living room. And then this truck is just parked here. He didn't back up. He's not in a spot. They like to park diagonal or park so that they can shine their brights into your window, okay, to harass you, and they don't turn them off. They put on their high beams, and you can see the light go from low to high beam, and you're just sitting there in your living room being blasted by lights. It is all like military style tactics of abuse and control designed to totally break you down and provide an atmosphere where there is no rest. So let's keep going here. Again, as you can see, this is my spot right here. And, I had them, take the garbage and the junk out of my spot and the nails out of my spot. It's a paid for spot, but yeah, they feel like they can just throw all their garbage in my spot. So I made them move this, and there's tons more stuff over here. They clutter the yard. They don't pick up their mess. And then the community-based handlers will start spreading the rumor that you caused it, that you're the one making the mess. So again, I'm just sitting in my living room. I'm at my kitchen table here. And yes, Amazon delivers community-based policing. That's one of the things they deliver. I mean, I'm saying that, tongue in cheek, but so whether it's the mail carrier, if it's a package delivery person, if it's the fire department, if it's emergency services, and the local sheriff's office, all are a part of this under the terror laws, and they are able to label you and profile police you, and then these programs begin on you. But this guy's, just getting in his car, and that's normal, that's common, but he parked here forever. It's like, don't you have other places to go? Don't you have to drop off packages? But, he just stood outside his car staring at me. And unfortunately, I didn't capture that same dead look on camera, but here he gets in his car. And I want to show this really quick because you can see his phone right here, and he's holding it really high. So, and just smirking and laughing at me. And you can see his arm like this, and he's holding his phone. So, and just has no reason to be filming me, but all a part of getting the target to complain and grumble about people filming you. And then, people will start to say, well, John, you're not that special. I don't know why people would film you everywhere. You're not famous or anything, but really many of us targets are famous based on the level of attention that we get. But like this attention again is all provoking. I'm sitting in my living room. They don't want me to relax. They want me to feel observed and surveilled and watched. And so he just holds up his camera and keeps holding up his camera so that I say something or do something, which I didn't do. Again, another picture, his arms going like this up to his phone right here. And he just sat there for a good 20 minutes doing that, not texting, not doing anything on his phone. His mouth wasn't moving like he was talking on the phone, but just filming me and smirking like we showed in that other picture with that lady. They love to do that to me all the time. And again, this is just about the noise campaigns and manufactured crises where nothing is wrong. You'll come home one day, your window is broken. So they like to damage property. They do that all the time with me. So it wastes your energy, time, and money. But my window was cracked, and one of the community-based harassers threw something at my window, I'm sure, because, you leave to the store, you come back and your window's damaged, of course. And, I didn't see anything in the house when I looked for rocks or anything like that. But, when you leave and you come back and somebody's been in your home or somebody's damaged your property, then that happens hundreds and hundreds of times where that's your only life experience is you fixing what they break in a 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, merry-go-round dance of frustration. The whole point is if you're not reacting, they start to damage property to get you engaged in a fight and get you to react. And they have the above the law status. They don't get in trouble. And here this guy comes over and replaces a window. But again, I'm working from home, and it's all designed to interrupt me, to stop me, to make me have to talk to contractors all day rather than doing my job, doing my work. But again, just on ladders, looking in my windows. They love to do that to me all the time. And the HOA just sends them over with no warning. And the least they could do is send me a letter to let me know that there's going to be a lot of banging and work to be done, but they never inform me. I'm kept in the dark. And of course, withholding information allows them to get the advantage. But he's fixing the window. And again, this is one of the contractors that was with him. And of course, again, a red shirt, just to let me know, this is after they broke my window. And again, these are the contractors. I showed this white truck in another picture just recently, back a couple pics, but here's some of the mess. And they just leave it all over, put it in my car spot. But I had to move this because it was in my car spot. And a lot of the time they'll just take their white car or red car and park it right in your paid spot. And you can't find the person. And all the other car spots are taken up. So you have to park far away. It's all about the inconvenience and wasting your energy and wearing you out. But these guys left a mess all over the place. They didn't pick up after themselves. And of course, the neighbors that are targeting me walk by and immediately say, well, look at what John did, and then it spreads like wildfire. And next thing you know, you're being blamed for this kind of thing. So let's keep going here. Again, I'm on a walk right here and I'm really far away. I zoomed in on this picture and here again is that look. He's even turning around to make sure I see him looking at me. It's all about provoking, giving me that death stare and not waving, not saying hi, but just turning around. And it was like he wanted me to catch up to him. And in fact, I did later on catch up to him, not trying to, but just because he kept mirroring my pace and slowing down and looking back at me again and again and again. So it's all designed to make the target think, well, what's going on here? This weirdo keeps looking at me when he should just be enjoying his walk. But I'm a danger, I'm a threat, I'm violent is what they've been told. So they have these, reactions and body language to when they see you in the community. So I thought it was very strange that he kept looking back at me. Now, here is a little backstory on this. This is my sprinkler head. And of course, there's going to be more directed speech with this. But, they even had a meeting about me riding my skateboard. And of course, the stalkers told the HOA that I had rolled over this with my skateboard. And that's the reason the riser and the sprinkler head was broken. Okay. But for weeks at around Christmas, when nobody's working, they, run over this sprinkler head with a lawnmower, the maintenance people do, and break it. And yet the rumor spreads like wildfire that I rolled over this with my skateboard. But try try skateboarding on this kind of like crabgrass, this field grass, and you will fly right on your face. So there's no way that I rolled over that. And it's just obnoxious, absurd levels of slander and accusation. And of course, all the people that are targeting you in your neighborhood rush with that story to try to spread, that, he's breaking things. He's always got garbage in his yard. He's always damaging property. So the very thing that they do deliberately, intentionally, they accuse you of doing that very thing. So this is a sprinkler head and it was leaking all through Christmas, for weeks, and of course it was leaking so bad that it flooded the parking lot and then flooded my car spot so that I couldn't even get in my car. And it's just like, an inch of water on the driver's side. So I couldn't even get in and the passenger side to keep me from parking in my spot. Once I dealt with people pulling in my spot over and over with red and white cars, then they escalate. After you get that taken care of, then they deliberately break this sprinkler head in front of just my vehicle. And of course, it floods the parking lot so that, I can't get in. There's this smelly, nasty, like chemical water that's being sprayed. It's like, city water, county water, and it's just not treated, smells like sewage. So you get that on your nice shoes and you track it in your car. When you get in the car, it's all about the inconvenience and making a hostile, unprofitable environment where you're always dealing with some sort of crisis and damage to property that they do. And then, of course, they're doing it all in your name. So let's keep going here. So that's the sprinkler head, and it flooded really bad. for weeks. But here's just an example of when it first started. But this is my car spot right here. The sprinkler head is right there. But this whole car spot was like standing water and even on the other side. But I just wanted to take a couple brief pictures, all to inconvenience, all deliberate and intentional. And this is the name of the game: occupy the target with crisis after crisis. So, you're trying to solve and resolve the inconvenience only. And that's what they want you doing. It's a way of controlling you. It's a way of getting your attention on them 24/7. So again, just another picture. This was just starting this way, and it filled the whole parking lot, as you can see. And the stains from the chemicals in the water all over, just reeking, smelling. And you can see me right here. I'm taking a picture of it just to document everything, because we have to, because of the amount that, we're accused of, horrible, sensational things. And it destroys relationships. It destroys any connection you have to your family. And, family starts to participate in this, because when you complain about the non-touch torture, they can't really, connect the dots like we can. But, they just label you mentally ill and crazy and, paranoid and everything else like that. But it's all designed, the abuse is designed to do the abuse in plain sight so that they can keep doing it over and over and over. Again, another picture of, standing water in my parking lot, and even to the point where it was over here. So the whole parking lot by my car just gets flooded, and it was, terrible by my car, so that I couldn't get in and out of my vehicle, forcing me for weeks during the Christmas time and holiday time to park, way over here, because all the spots, of course, were filled up deliberately, intentionally. And of course, there's a lot more people here during the holidays, but they know that. That's why they inconvenience you this way and do this kind of property damage and abuse. Again, just the sprinkler head. So imagine, guys, like I'm sitting there complaining about this over and over in my house, right? And talking about how they've blamed me and the sprinkler head is damaged, and, the HOA gets involved, and they start, making you feel like you're going to be kicked out for things you didn't do, and all these stressors begin to come upon you. But later on, you'll see another form of directed speech related to this story with my sprinkler head. But again, there's a white car going by. I'm just driving, and I want you guys to notice the sticker on the back of his car. Let's highlight it just so we can see right where that arrow is. You can see the sticker below. Let me just erase that. So you can see the sticker right here. And this is another form of directed speech, whether it's license plates or bumper stickers. Okay. But as soon as we get to the pic, I'll describe it. And here we are, directed speech, more directed speech, like hardcore. The last two cities that I lived in were Aurora, Colorado, and Lake Oswego in Oregon. So these are the two last places I lived. And again, directed speech. They watch you when you go into stores. It's coordinated and organized. They come out at the same time as you, parallel to you, mimicking you and your movement. And so they made sure to cut me off and get in front of me, of course, so that I would see this sticker, because it's all about intimidation. They want me to know they know where I came from and where I'm going. But little do they know, the Lord Jesus Christ hides me in the secret place of the Most High and teaches me how to abide under the shadow of the Almighty. But again, directed speech. So, they know where I'm from, where I moved to, and how the targeting was so severe that I had to leave there, Aurora. And then, going back even further, leaving Lake Oswego when I was poisoned, when I was sent to the hospital because they burnt my upper respiratory tract with directed energy weapons, so that I almost died. And they would have been so happy with that and rubbing their hands together and celebrating at my downfall. But little did they know the Lord Jesus is my King and my Lord in my life. And there is resurrection power and life. So the more they try to put you to death, the more Jesus revealed himself and his power and his deliverance. But here you can see the directed speech letting me know, we know where you're from. We're watching you at all times, and there's no getting away from us. That's what they want, because I moved from those places. Again, another parking lot when I was in Colorado, and Aurora is one of the towns that I live near a Air Force base. And I mean, you want to talk about military tactics of abuse and control in this program. I mean, I've had guns pulled on me all the time where they'd pull up next to me in tinted windows, red car or white cars. When you got 5 white cars around you or 5 red cars encircling you, it's very organized. They're experts at vehicular harassment. And, they just roll down the window and flash their guns at me, letting me know, or aiming the gun at me when they drive by me. And then you look for their license plate to take a picture of it so you can report it. And of course, there are no license plates on some of the cars that were doing this to me usually. So it's just, intimidate the target, threaten the target's life above the law status where, I'm sure nobody was going to shoot me, but it's just showing me, we're, we're the boss and we're running things. And if you keep speaking up, if you keep talking about it, you're going to get hurt. But again, more directed speech, and nobody else would really know that because, I used to live in Portland and you got all these bumper stickers, and I'm sitting in a parking lot, my own parking lot at home, and this car pulls in. And of course, all the bumper stickers get your attention. They pull right in front of me, and I'm sitting in my car. And then this sticker is right here, keep Portland weird, which is a well-known sticker in Oregon. But, they just want me to see it, to speak to me in this form of abuse and psychological warfare. Out of all the stickers he could have, he has one of the city that I lived in. Okay, so now, and that is all the time, these directed messages to the target they don't have to use words, but they do with me in passing or when they run intercepts on me all the time, 24/7. And here is an example of further directed speech. If you remember the whole sprinkler issue and me being blamed that I rolled over it with my skateboard. I don't know how you skateboard in crabgrass, but I guess that's what happened to these people. But later on, the maintenance person came to me and told me, because I asked, and I'm looking around to find what happened to the sprinkler system because nobody seems to know. And the maintenance person and the landscaping people told me they rolled over it with their lawnmower, and that's making perfect sense to me. And they're very easy to break. But this guy rolled over it with his lawnmower. But then the rumor and the slander starts getting spread that you did it and you are bad and we're so good. And it's really this hive mind mob mentality. So I'm on a walk and I'm coming back and there's no maintenance people around. They just leave this lawnmower after me figuring out the night before that the landscaping crew rolled over on a riding tractor lawnmower and broke the sprinkler system. And so when I figured that out and I got the proof and the evidence, then this is more directed speech as I'm on a walk, just this lone lawnmower to let me know and to speak directly to me. And nobody else would know. It's just you and the stalkers, and they know, and you know that they know. And that's the way it works. So the abuse can be done in plain sight. So they're mirroring and mimicking my words in private and my activity in private and letting me know with this lone lawnmower just sitting there to mock me, to intimidate me, and to let me know, again, we're watching you, because they really like to do that to me. They let me know all the time through directed speech and through mimicking and mirroring my activity and movement and replaying it back to me as if it's their own. So that's what they do. And so this is an example of directed speech. As soon as I figured out that the maintenance people rolled over it with the lawnmower. And of course, in that story, I mention, why don't they just use a push lawnmower instead of a tractor lawnmower when there is not much room for them to maneuver that thing in front of my place? And instead of breaking the sprinkler heads, they could just use one of these lawnmowers. So that's what I said in private and in the privacy, so-called privacy of my own home. But here it is, the lawnmower, just directed speech showing me that, there's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to hide. We know what you're doing at all times, 24/7. And so there was nobody around, just this lone lawnmower, no maintenance, no landscaping crew. and it was just dead over here by the front gate. So, and they knew, because I always walk to the front gate and back, but they knew that I was going on this walk, and they pre-positioned this kind of thing to be an abuse tool and a provoking tool to counter the victory that I had by finding out that the maintenance and landscaping crew rolled over the sprinkler head with their lawnmower, causing me weeks and weeks of suffering with the slander and smear campaigns, and just flooding my car so bad, inconveniencing me. So I had to park far away from my home and walk really far because, of course, all the other car spots were taken up by red and white cars conveniently and suddenly. Okay, so that's the way it rolls. So yeah, I just took a picture of this to get different angles. But okay, so this is an example of the noise campaign. We're just going to go through this. And I don't know if the speaker system will pick up on the audio on this, but I mean, it's just god awful noise. But, you know, I was sitting in the room studying, and next thing you know, a surprise, surprise, we got people on ladders on the side of your house again and again and again and again. This is what I got to deal with, guys. Noise campaign. They're drilling on the side of my house in a noise campaign. I mean, this is every day. Oh, by the way, guys, there's my skateboard. If you saw it, it's an electric skateboard, a tiny board. It's one of the best skateboards that I use that's electric. And I just have a great time on it until they damaged the electronics in it, and I no longer can use it. So I'm going to have to fix it. But I was taking the battery off, and you can kind of see the work that I'm doing in here. It wasn't messy work. So I just decided to do it in my room and basically, you know, take the battery apart and take a look at the electronics and the battery and all the connections and the connection to the motor. So I'm just working on that. On the side of my house on a ladder. But this goes on for hours. I mean, this kind of level of noise. And I don't know if you guys can pick up on the audio because my recording might be bad in terms of recording this on Zoom. I've been having problems with it picking up the audio when I screen share. So I don't know what's going on, but put it this way, if you can't hear the sound, it's very, very noisy and designed to totally interrupt you and get on your nerves so that you fight back, you say something, you do something, and then you look like the crazy one because this guy's just obviously doing contract work and fixing your place, John. But when it happens again and again, the ambush, the surprise, the noise campaign, this is part of that. I don't know what they're doing. View. And this, of course, 4 days in a row of this nonstop banging and sighing and looking through my windows, basically. He's not doing it right now, but that's what they do. They sit there and stare at you, just like the same stare that I was showing you guys in the pics. The mean mug. I mean, he's literally like breaking the side of my house. You know, I don't know what the deal is out there, what the problem is, you know, what's going on, what they're breaking and redoing. There was no need, no cause. During Hurricane Ian, you know, I replaced all this siding on the side of the house here, and there was no damage, even though we replaced it. And there should be no reason this guy is drilling or hammering. So I don't want him to see me, but it's like he's trying to pop my window out. I mean, this is, you know, the second floor up. He's on a really tall ladder, so it's just funny to see somebody. So there's nothing wrong with my window. I don't know why they're doing this. I wasn't informed about this. The HOA didn't email me, tell me anything. And it's always ambush. It's always surprise. It's always about startling and surprising and ambushing the target if you're a targeted individual. And this is a perfect example of a noise campaign, and it happens again and again and again, whether it's somebody on the side of your house, whether it's somebody beeping their horn late at night, whether it's somebody drilling below you, on the sides of you, or above you. It is designed to psychologically abuse the target and have them constantly interrupted by noises and by loud bangs. And as you heard, like, what drill is that loud drilling screws into the... I don't know if you guys could hear the drill, but the drill was just, it was super loud on the original recording. I took a snippet out of this recording to show it, but it was just super, super loud. I was on the other side of my place, and, you know, I just start coming into my room to do some work. And next thing you know, as soon as I sit down to do the work, it's this huge noise campaign that they kept doing for like 4 days, just getting a whole lot of nothing done. When you go look at the work, you're like, how did it take you 4 days to do that? You know, so it's all about prolonging the noise campaign and harassment. And they've got an excuse to be there. So if you complain about them, they'll just say, well, don't you want your place fixed? Deciding and into the side of the house. Like what, it just seems like somebody trying to make deliberate noise, you know, with that loud, loud sound. All right, guys. So those are just some short clips and video. We saw, you know, the dogs lunging at me. It's all done deliberate and intentional. It has nothing to do with accidents, but you saw the directed speech examples. You saw, you know, where's your skateboard? And the 3 people on the same walk are saying that to me. The only 3 people that I crossed paths with where they were closer to me. And, you know, if they're in earshot view, they're going to say, where's your skateboard, in a mocking way. Even the lady trying to calm her dog down, saying he's not even on his skateboard, you know, mocking and making fun. That's why I said it must be the Holy Spirit, because it's implying that the dog is demon possessed along with the woman, the owner. But I thought it was funny responding like that. But so, I just wanted to share this. I wanted to share that, again, examples of directed speech, examples of color sensitization and harassment and anchoring, and also in examples of how they use directed speech, that it's not always just verbally. It can be license plates, bumper stickers. It can be, you know, placing a lawnmower on your walk that's just an isolated lawnmower left for you to see because there's nobody else there. And no maintenance people working on anything or doing anything. And they just leave the lawnmower up by the front gate, which is strange to me. But of course, in this world of community-based policing, harassment and stalking and directed speech, it is non-touch torture tactics that are used all the time on me. And I just wanted to show some examples. Love you guys.